Hello and welcome to this week's episode, Cowboys Takeover. This, of course, is the post-game show versus the Philadelphia Eagles. And I don't know if you can all see that little grin right there, little smile we got going on. But it was a wonderful night last night. It was a very good Sunday night football game. If you're rooting for the Dallas Cowboys or against the Philadelphia Eagles, because we know there were teams, especially those Bay Area fans, that were rooting against the Philadelphia Eagles. Maybe not for the Cowboys, but definitely against. So let's bring in our co-host, the magnificent Mr. Aaron James, to really tell his thoughts, what he thinks of this. I think you can only describe it as a beatdown. I think that's the best way to put it. This beatdown, or as someone said, I used shellacking of the Philadelphia Eagles. Mr. Aaron James, how you feeling today? How'd you enjoy that shellacking of the Philadelphia Eagles last night?
Man, you're pacing around, you're thinking about the game all day, you're trying to do some things to make time pass by quicker so that the game can come. And I got to tell you, as the game got closer, my confidence just kept going up and up and up as the day came along, and we get the ball first and go down and just have this like magical, my favorite play calling thus far we've had for an opening game. Because we've talked back and forth and how that just sets the tone. And man, we just completely dominated on all levels of that you can. And to me, I think I might have texted you this, like the Eagles just still looked demoralized from what took place a week ago.
They really did. They did not look like the Eagles. And I know you see a lot of the Eagles fans on social media today. Like, this is how they've looked. They haven't looked like this all year. Not the last 2 weeks. Like, they were still scoring points, and the defense was they weren't. This last 2 weeks, they've looked very bad. So, yeah, they still look hungover from whatever happened. They did not look good.
Yeah, and their locker room and their leadership to me just doesn't look to be the same quality and camaraderie as it does in our locker room right now.
You know what really got me in the drive that was more impressive, and I do love they started the game out, and I know we'll get into more of this, breaking it down later, but I think the second drive, because I don't know if I've ever seen a drive like that. It was a 13 play. First play, 10 plays, 75 yards. Second drive, 13 plays, 37 yards. And to me, I had stated this in the pregame, the focal point, one of the big sticking issues with me, taking the GD points. And I've been adamant all year. And they're talking, and that was a drive where they converted a fourth down. There was a little bit of everything they had. Because they made the Eagles fumble on the next drive, so they got it back, and you have an opportunity to go up, at least 7 or 10-0. So that drive had it all. It had big plays, it had penalties, had fourth down conversions, and it ended with a 60-yard field goal. So to me, I really much like the fact that he did take the points, and to me, it just shows me like, why have we not been trotting him out there in obvious field goal situations prior when we're going for it on some of these fourth downs that are unnecessary? Because what the kid have? A 60, a 59, a 55, and a 45. The kid's got a cannon. From 60, he looked like he probably could have had about another 5 yards on it. So to me, I just think that drive where you went for it on fourth down, a lot of penalties, you felt like, you could have easily come away there at a 13-play drive with 0 points. But the fact that he chose to take the points and trusted our kicker, and as we saw, some of the field goals were a little bit later, but a 50 and a 60, 3+ 50+ yard field goals. I'm glad we're taking those opportunities, because to me, that says something like when you're later, when you're chasing points, maybe you don't need to go for on fourth down. No, you get to 65 yards, you have points. So I think that's a good thing too, to see what you have in your kicker. And man, I really feel like he got one of the player of the games last night. This Brandon Aubrey kid deserves a shout out. Mm-hmm. He is magnificent. I was looking today through his they were showing like his timeline, getting drafted as an MLS player, getting cut, getting on another team, getting cut, just working out with a kicking coach while he's an accountant for 4 years or something like it. I don't think it was an accountant. I think it was like something more. It was bigger than that. But then he gets a tryout, goes to the USFL or whatever, wins a championship, and then just coming to the NFL banging 60-yarders as a rookie. Kid's impressive.
Yeah, and who do we give the credit to? Do we give the credit to Stephen Jones, Jerry Jones, McCarthy?
Whatever scout they threw out there. Whoever was, they said, I think they actually said during the broadcast yesterday that Fossil was been paying attention to him for a while now. So that's someone that Fossil's had on his radar. So I don't know, I don't know how long, but it is, seems to get the credit for that.
That's some impressive work right there. And you and I were kind of going into the season, like, what are we doing? Like, it's an NFC championship game or bust, and we're messing around with a rookie kicker when a lot of our games can come down to, those game-winning drive situations, fourth quarter situations. But most of our games have been blowouts, and this kid is right now the best kicker in the league.
He really looks like it.
It's still a little bit nerve-wracking that, he hasn't experienced the pressure of a playoff game, but he just seems like a cool guy that's just always calm, has his emotions in check. And so you're on, even though you might still be a little bit nervous, you gotta have some confidence behind it.
Did you see my guy, like 60 yards? It looked like he took 2 steps, barely swung his leg, and drilled it. It was impressive. Like I'm like, the dude didn't have he just like very nonchalant. It wasn't like a running, just looked like step, murder the ball. It was beautiful. But going off of him and talking about, we're talking about kickers here. We're a kicker show. We probably talk about kickers more than any show any of you guys ever listen to. That's because what we do here. We're knowledgeable fans. That's what we are. But let's dive into this win. To me, I felt like this. I didn't think it was. You thought it was more important for the Cowboys. To me, just going through it, I thought it was a bigger game for the Eagles because they did break it down really last night of who wins, and then you start getting in the percentages for the number 1 seed and winning the division, and they broke it down as to Eagles losing still have the better chance, but even with the same record of winning that division. But how big of a statement win was this? A statement win? And how big was it to you if you had it as a statement win?
Yeah, it's definitely a statement win. And I think we showed everyone that we're not the same team as we were in September and October. We're one of the hottest teams playing on all cylinders in the most important time of the season. And that is, of course, December. I think Dak and McCarthy have figured that out. The play calling, the play designs. Dak understands when he goes out there what he's trying to do. If his first read, the second read isn't there, he's using his legs. Our defense chemistry, it takes time for, especially our linebackers are getting more and more acclimated with their roles, with Clark and with Ball, and those guys are getting better week after week. And I know Ball was responsible for one of the fumbles. And was Clark responsible for the one on Hurts, or was that Donovan Wilson?
Don't know who. Let me check. That one I was not sure. So the first fumble was the Hurts fumble, right? The first one. Yeah. That was Donovan Wilson caused that one. Okay. And he recovered it. He did it all.
Yeah, man. I mean, so these guys just came out hungry and really set the tone in the game. Out physical the Eagles. And man, I'm going to talk more about our secondary when we get in the defense. But, I know it's a lot of back and forth with the 49ers. But listen, we played them week 6, and we're just we're gelling differently than we were at that point. So I have a lot more confidence going into a rematch.
I agree with you. I think we're both different teams. Since that game, really right after that game, San Fran went on a losing streak and 3-game losing streak, hit their kind of third roadblock. Yeah. And then, they've been, since then, again, they won, however many in a row it was after that, 4 or 5. I agree. I think you needed a win. I didn't think the game was more important because I still thought Dallas upcoming games, they're playing very good teams. If you lose this game, you still have opportunity to show that you are a great team. I don't think they're winning the division. That's why I didn't think it was necessary. But in terms of a statement win, if you can go in, we both had them as, Dallas, San Fran, and Eagles as the top three in any order you wanted to put it. It seems obvious at this point, it's San Fran. And it's really a coin toss. This late in the season, if you're telling me, I get Eagles are going to get that number 2 seed most likely. But I think if you're the Cowboys, you have to be feeling pretty good. You are a different team than you were when you played San Fran. Your defense is looking much better. Dak, since that game, has improved tremendously. Leaps and bounds improved since that game. So I do think, even if it's going to Levi Stadium, I think you have confidence in what Dak can do, because he's really shown it. Since that San Fran game, he's come out, and I think I saw a stat, at least one of the sports books after last night has Dak as the leader for MVP voting. So
that's right.
To me, I think this was about as big of a win outside of a playoff atmosphere you could get. Just because it had everything. People are worried about Dak. Is he real? They haven't played anybody yet, and I know people will be like, well, the Eagles just lost 2 in a row to San Fran and Dallas. Dallas and San Fran are those teams. Both of them. Even the Eagles are that team. So let's not act like, they're trash, they're bums. We dominated a very good team. And even if you want to flip it, I heard, well, we beat you the first. It doesn't matter who, you beat us by less than a touchdown. This was a 20-point beating, and it really felt, and we'll go into that defense dominant. It felt like the whole game, outside of the one mistake fumble by Dak, it really felt like a perfectly played game offensively, defensively, and coaching. I think this might be one of the first weeks when I go into it that I'm really not going to have a lot of negative things to say about the performance across the board. So let's really start. What did you see offensively with Dallas and in this offense going in? Did anything shock you? Did anything surprise you? What were you really big on this week?
So, like I mentioned, the first drive I just thought was magical. Just getting down the field, starting off with a touchdown. I mean, at first I was in the play calling in regards to the pass rush scenario. We sprinkled in the run more so than try to force it, and that's what I've been kind of harping on all season long.
Now, also a lot this week too, more than I even expected in such a big win.
Yeah, well, so when I went back to look at the numbers, right, Pollard 16 carries and Rico 12, Turpin with 1. I wouldn't have just eye testing. I wouldn't have gone with Pollard over 13 or Rico over 10, because it just didn't feel that way as the game was going along. So you got the play calling clicking. Dak's productivity on third down is just mind-blowing. He's one of the best quarterbacks out there. I think that's why he's the leading candidate for MVP. Ferguson is making some pretty clutch catches.
Dude, he's really filling in at that tight end. He's really coming along.
Physical. He took Blankenship out of the game because the guy tried to hit him.
Trying to go a little low, and Fergie just said, "Not on Daddy." That was a Witten type of. He does have that Witten type of. I want to get hit. Let's go have fun. Like you see George Kittle laughing when he blocks these guys. You see, he is in that mold of tight end. He's not George Kittle. So if you're listening to the show, don't think that. But he's got the potential to get there and be a very good tight end number 1 in this league.
Our offensive line is gelling. We got Tyrone Smith has been healthy week over week. Again, whatever we have going on there, it's working. We talked about, and I don't know if you saw this name on X, but Butter Aubrey is what was trending under his name.
Is that what it is, Butter Aubrey?
Butter Aubrey, and so I think it's a kind of a work in process right now. I've been trying to come up with something catchy myself.
Butter Aubrey's tough, I don't know. Is that a brand? Is Aubrey a brand of butter or something? I don't know.
And so regarding a couple, setbacks, if you want to call them that. The fumble that Cox got on Dak, Zach Martin was beat on that play.
Pretty bad. Pretty
And
bad.
so, Cox seemed to me probably the one still playing their hardest on defense. That guy has a high motor, and he doesn't really, to me, seem to take really many plays off for that DT position.
He's a bad dude. He's definitely a bad dude.
I do think we left some points on the table, right? Aubrey had, it's great. I mean, if Aubrey misses any of those kicks, it could be momentum shifters because of the field position and their long kicks. So it's right midfield, especially the first two. So we got kind of, in a way, I don't know if I'd call us lucky, but fortunate that those went our way. And
don't talk about Butter Aubrey like that. Butter knows he's going to make it from 60.
And the last thing, I guess I'm just nitpicking here. So as productive as our offense was, not a whole lot of gash plays for the running game. Pollard's long was 11 yards, I think. So it's still like to see, you would still think would there be more holes for him to play with.
I've kind of conceded the fact that we're going to get the explosiveness from him. I've kind of conceded we're not going to get that big play. I don't think there's many 60-yarders out there for this team. That's just not who they are right now. I agree with your point that you would think with how well Dak is playing, that would open up some of the lanes. Because again, and I'm going to praise Dak again. When you look at him this week, and you're going through it, like CD went on his run, but when you look at it this week, Ferguson, another 5 for 72. CD, 6 for 71. Gallup had 3 catches. Pollard had another 7 catches. So Pollard had, you got him 23 total touches, which seems like quite a lot for Pollard. But they're spreading the ball around so well. He's looking at everyone. Cooks had 5 targets. Gallup's had 5 targets. Ferguson had 8. CD had 10. Pollard had 8. So he's feeding everyone on this offense. And there was a play that, as soon as I saw, I sent you a message, the play to Gallup, where it seemed like a little bit of a go route and he hit him.
That was beautiful on the big third down.
That's the Gallup I think we've been missing, which Cooks is now filling into that that second receiver role. But if you can get Gallup to start going and building this confidence where he doesn't have to be the number 2 guy, even really, because right now I really think you have Ferguson's your 2, Cooks is your 3, Pollard, maybe even your 4th option receiving. So Gallup is really low down there. So when you look at a lot of that, he's spreading it out. So there's not really one guy you can focus on in this offense. Even though you have CD, they have it to where you have to focus on everyone. And that's where I think it comes up so big for this offense. Because like you said, they go down. Eagles chose to receive in the second half. Dallas gets the ball, goes down, beautiful drive, scores. It caused the fumble on Eagles are really looking like they're going down to score again, right? And we come out, boom. You get the turnover, 13 plays, however, penalties, whatnot. He takes the points. And I think you can't emphasize just putting points on the board. Because, they could have, I get it was 4th and 20, but they could have kicked the field goal. Other games, they could have played it differently to not be 4th and 20. So I like him settling for field goals. And I think that's big going forward. But I just think when you watch that game, I think the biggest comment, they scored their first 4 drives of the game. So every drive of the first half, they scored. You would have liked to see them up a little bit. You would have liked to see 4 touchdowns, but you go in the half, 24 points. You feel confident. And they didn't, like you said, that whole defense outside of Fletcher Cox did not look like they wanted to play. They just looked defeated. And everything Dallas did, and like the other comment you may have loved, it didn't feel like they ran the ball 32 times. So they got it in there, here and there, and let those guys do their things. And then Turpin, I still love getting this kid the ball. Even though it was a little end around, not for much, that was the 4th down play. Wasn't that like a 4th and 1? You just do a little end around Turpin, let him run for 10 yards.
Yeah, closer to 20, but yeah.
Yeah, so it's one of those things that it actually was over 20. Look at me. But it's one of those things where the play calling really seems offensively be coming together. And you heard the announcers talk about it. It just took a while. It either took a while or something wasn't there. That since that San Fran game, this offense is clicking on almost every cylinder. And that offensive line, besides the occasional penalty, the offensive line, I feel like, because now they're starting to gel and be cohesive, really starting to look good. And that's scary because you want to be playing your best football this time of year. And Dak seems to really be hitting his stride, just everything. The little mistake that really, to me, wasn't much his fault. That fumble because Martin got beat. The others, he could have avoided a sack later, but the game was over. So I'm happy with the way this offense is clicking and with the way McCarthy's calling it right now. They look really good. And they're first in points for a reason. First in total offense and first in scoring offense. So they have one of the best point differentials in. I think they have the best point differential in the game right now. They're just really good offensively. They look superb.
And that's why I was nervous if McCarthy was going to be out on the operation or surgery that he had, because I just feel like he's just completely on with the play calling. I heard that it was reported by another analyst that he didn't want to be up in the skybox, sitting down because he wanted to see what the quarterback saw. So, he's just in the zone right now, on another level, and he's had an MVP caliber quarterback before.
Yeah.
Right. In Aaron Rodgers. So, I mean, it's kind of like unreal. And as a Cowboys fan, I feel like it could end any week. This like hot streak. So we're just not used to this. And also, and it was, I think Skip or Richard Sherman might have said, Cowboys have never had a league MVP before.
I feel like Emmett had to have won the MVP 1 year. No?
You could look.
We're gonna Google that one because I'm gonna have to go back because I can't believe.
Yeah,
I am throwing the challenge flag. I feel like that's kind of not true. Like it can't be. Emmett won it in '93.
Okay. So then no quarterback, I guess.
It could be because Aikman definitely wouldn't have won it, and I don't think Roger did either. So no. And so definitely it could. Yeah, definitely no quarterback has won it. So he's playing at that level. He really is. But what changes the most right now, and like you said, I think the biggest fear is that rug being swept out. I think at this point, I'm confident to say, even if Dak has another bad game before the playoffs, I'm okay with going in. I trust him. Right now, I believe and trust him. I'm going to want to see it now. If we play San Fran in Levi Stadium, these comments may change because I don't know if I trust him against San Fran. Against everyone else, I'm great. I'm good. I know Dak's going to do his thing. I don't know about San Fran. That's the one hurdle we still need to get over because even going and playing Philly in Philly, I've seen enough to be convinced that Dak can do his thing. I don't know about going into Levi.
And, we it's just impressive overall because we just played the Eagles a couple weeks back. We talked about how the Seattle Seahawks were able to move the ball on us. So you just felt like some of those concepts they were doing, the Eagles were going to look to replicate. And yet, McCarthy did say going into this game, because of the 10-day rest, they were going to install new plays. So you kind of saw some different things with that. And man, another 30+ burger. Thank you very much.
And then you talk about seeing him 10 days ago, and especially, or not 10, I'm sorry, a couple weeks ago, and then just coming off that Seattle game where, even the announcers mentioned AJ Brown, and DK Metcalf, like very similar builds, very similar guys. And when you look at that defensive performance, and I was looking at the numbers today, and they really held Jalen and Hurts. They called, I can't remember the last time I've seen the Eagles call so many quarterback runs, I feel like there's a lot of designed quarterback runs outside of the tush push. I feel like out in the pocket. And when I looked, it was shocking to me that AJ Brown even had 9 catches for 94 yards, because it really felt. I think even if you're an Eagles fan, you would say it felt like he was taken out of that game. It felt like every big play that game, Gilmore was locking him down. And then there were other times where Gilmore was even going over and Devonta and locking him down. It was beautiful to see. And they even stated during the broadcast that looking back at, once they switched and put Gilmore on DK against Seattle, DK really went back. So to me, to really just see the way they dominated, Micah got the sack against Lane Johnson. He bullied him that play. It was beautiful. I don't know what, they gave up 6 points. They gave up 2 field goals. They looked amazing. Like, yes, they sacked him 1 time, but they had another 3 forced turnovers. Or no, I'm sorry. Was it 4? Wasn't it? Or was it? They didn't get interception, so it was only 3.
Yes, 3 forced turnovers. Yep.
So and all 3 of them fumbled. And when you're going into this game, offensively, there's 3 dudes you got to stop. And I know, but you don't want to let Jalen Hurts beat you. They've made him fumble. You don't want AJ Brown to go big play. Made him fumble. You know what Devonta Smith can do. Made him fumble. And all of them were in plus territory. Or I think 2 of them were inside Dallas, almost in the red zone. Like, I believe one of them was. I think Jalen's was right outside.
Yeah.
Huge, huge performances. It's like a bend but don't break. And those are confidence breakers. Especially like when you're going down, you can get it to within 2 scores. The defense is really doing all it can do to not let it get out of hand at that point. And the offense, Dallas's defense shut it down. And it was really great to watch. And it really gives you confidence going forward, because you know how good this Eagles offense can be. Like, for everybody saying, and I know I've clowned Eagles fans today and yes, last night, but it really is, they lost to San Fran, who's a top 5 defense, and Dallas, who's a top 5 defense. Dallas is just a good Dallas. Dallas has proven they're a good team right now, and they're playing good when it needs to happen. And it's nice to see other players, they're for everyone. Bland didn't have an interception, he didn't have his thing, but 3 forced fumbles, fumble recoveries, just being all over the place. That's what you want. Don't give up on plays and go after the ball.
Yeah, we texted about that. They didn't try Bland at all.
They didn't feel like it. No.
And we obviously put Gilmore on AJ Brown for, it looked like maybe 80%, 85% of the plays, of the snaps. There were some instances where Brown was in the slot, and I saw that Gilmore was not on him. But I'm not sure if you saw the quote that AJ Brown told Gilmore that he was old, like in the first quarter, something like that. And Gilmore said, that just lit me on fire. And, Gilmore looked like the Gilmore of old, the Gilly of old, the shutdown corner.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he just looked awesome.
And they mentioned he's a defensive player of the year for a reason. He knows how to play the game, and he's not huge. He's only 6 foot, but he plays big as a corner. He's a physical corner, and that's going to help, against Dallas against Eagles, and then, San Fran has those big physical, maybe not big, but like Debo's small, but he's physical. Kittle's physical. You're going to need him in that game to play big. And it was good to see it against a good offense. Mm-hmm. I really believe a lot of people are hating on the Eagles. I know that's what us as fans do, but I think people are going to start going when it's just not, they're a good team. Like, I don't want to hear any hate towards them. They're a great team. We just played that much better. And I'm confident. I think it's a big performance by that defense as well, especially after what happened against Seattle, to see how bad they struggled to really fix those things up. The one thing I will mention is Hankins. He did leave the game with a high ankle sprain. So you're kind of wondering, where's that? because Mozzie, they said Mozzie's really good run, stopping the run, but you want to be able to rotate those guys, keep them fresh. And I don't know if Mozzie's a guy I'm going to want in there as often as Hankins, especially with OC's doing really good. So, but that's the one worry going forward is how long Hankins could be out for with a high ankle sprain.
Yes, definitely something we got to look at week over week, and see. Hopefully, if he's back by the playoffs, of course we'll take it. Hopefully, it's not a 6 week plus kind of situation. I don't want to let Jalen Hurts off the hook here with one thing. He completed passes to only 3 offensive players for the game: AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert. There's one other receiver that caught a ball, and that was from a fake punt, which, by the way, I called because when we're up 10-0,
you really did. Punt, I looked, I saw the message. I read it after because I was paying attention. I was like, this dude sent it right before the punt. That's beautiful.
Because it was, Sirianni's that kind of guy. You expect either a trick play or some sort of fourth down fake punt gimmick, because they didn't have the momentum. They were giving us the ball back 10-0. It's like, I don't know how McCarthy or the coaching staff didn't catch that. But outside of that, I mean, our defense dominated, and it's easy to say, yeah, we dominated, but we got to really take time to appreciate it, because the Eagles, they are just very hard to game plan for. You have the QB run, you have a mobile quarterback, a scramble quarterback, you have a quality tier 2 running back that they don't use all that much for whatever reason, and then you have AJ Brown to worry about in the passing game. So it's just a lot to pay attention to. I think we obviously there was the first QB run was quite good, and then they thought they could do it again, and I think that's when Hurts kind of coughed it up. But it's just a hard offense to prepare for, and I mean DQ is he's just killing it right now.
I agree. I don't know what else more you can say. They just, when you look at the difference between the two quarterbacks, I think spreading it out there, he targeted 3 receivers. That's it in 60 minutes. Dak had, I'm not going to go look, but I would think probably 3 receivers on the first possession he threw the ball to. This dude only threw it the whole game. But it was great. There's really not much you could say. Yeah, you just got to appreciate what they've done, and it wasn't a close game. They made up for their mistakes from the prior week. They went out, corrected it. Dan Quinn's and they stated, Dan Quinn, I think we need to appreciate what we have right now, because he probably won't be back next year. So we got to hope he can. I can't imagine a scenario where he's back, just because this defense, his last 2 years, he's done special things. And it helps when you have a Micah Parsons too, but still.
It does. But I mean, he stayed because we did pay him more money, and he realized the talent. He was just having fun with having guys like Diggs and acquiring a guy like Gilmore. And so he was having fun. He loves the culture. I don't know how motivated he is to want to do a rebuild situation somewhere. He was a head coach with the Falcons. He made it to a Super Bowl, the 28-3 scenario thing.
I think it would be a team like that, an on the cusp team that wants that guy to get him over the edge. I think he's more of that coach. He's not much of a rebuild guy.
I don't know. I can't think of another team. Well, it'll be fun to talk about going into the offseason, but I don't know of a team that's going to be there and the coaching spot's going to be available.
Mike McCarthy's going to get fired because Dallas doesn't make the NFC Championship game. Boom, he becomes the head coach just of the Dallas Cowboys.
How about this? LA Chargers, Kellen Moore's offense has scored, I think, 1 touchdown in 3 games. I mean,
don't want Kellen Moore back.
So
I would take him back.
Right. So was it Kellen Moore? Was it our offense? Is it now Mike McCarthy? Is it Dak?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of all of them. I think Dak has proven to be a very good quarterback. I think that's what it comes down to, and he's definitely above average. And Jerry finally went and got, after missing out on Randy Moss, next couple first round receivers are pretty good. I'm happy with it. But looking at that, yeah. Going into our coaching, the coaching performance, I think it's an A+. I don't know what else you can give him. The only thing, the only downside was, the special teams, I feel like mishap. But outside of that, they played a very sound game offensively and defensively. Yes, the Eagles did drive a little bit, but Dallas really came and shut them down when they need to and forced the turnovers. And that's why they're one of the league leaders in turnovers. Offensively, I just feel like a great game plan. Because you couldn't. I was shocked when I looked at those numbers. I expected Dak to have 45, 50 attacks. Just when you look at it. And Dak's doing so well. And it was pretty even. I think there was only 3 more. No. So we had 32 total rush attempts, 39 pass attempts. In a game that's pretty much a blowout, I was shocked because Dak's numbers have been drastically inflated because they'll do that little dump off pass to, at the end of the game just to get the clock moving instead of running the ball. And this might be one of the best coach games of the season overall. I really believe so.
Yeah. I'm going to have to agree with you on that. And that's saying a lot because the reason why the Eagles have won their close games is because their coaching is excellent in situational play. And we won if you want to call it the penalty battle. We had 7 compared to their 10. They gave up a lot of first downs. We really didn't extend drives with our defensive holding or kind of offense offsides types of things that we do in coachman or whatever the case may be. The coaches told the defense, right? DQ said, "Hey, get me the ball." Those guys were punching for the ball all game long. We talked about the 8+ play drive on offense. It led to us having time of possession 36 minutes over 23 minutes.
That's a big part right there.
I don't know what else we could have asked for, but that just gives me more confidence going in week after week and preparing for the playoffs. And the way I look at it is that we have our 2 coaches, right? Well, I call it 2 coaches, McCarthy and DQ. We basically have 2 head coaches running the show.
And both have been there. Both are big. Both have, coached a lot of games, been both Super Bowl, coaches, both have been there. So I don't know if you could ask, to what extent do you believe in McCarthy, I think is the question. But they do have guys that have gotten their teams before and know what it's like to be there. So they know what it takes to win in January. So you want to build off of it, especially because like we said, this was where Dallas was hitting their real meat of their schedule. So you come out, you got to feel good now. The Bills, you play the Bills next week. We'll go into that on Thursday. The Bills squeak one out against Kansas City. You want to see that trend keep rolling. You want to see Dak continue to perform. He's just looked over these last since the 49ers game where they put up 10 points. Yeah, I get it was 20 against the Chargers. When you look at it, 43, 23 against the Eagles in that loss, 49, 33, 45, 41, 33. They have been so hot. The one blemish when you look at that record, and even they mentioned it, the biggest thing that's going to hurt Dallas is that loss to Arizona. And those are the games that do it. And so when you look at that, you really hope a team now that we played, the Eagles, you look at their last 2 weeks, and it's funny because I had friends telling me, I have San Fran and I have Eagles fans. We all have Eagles friends around here. Mm-hmm. They were very upset because Bosa's comment after winning that Bosa, we got the blueprint. Dallas just needs to follow it. Or I believe that's the exact quote. But it's beautiful. So when you see it now, I just went over how good they are. Do you think this trending backwards continues? But before you answer that, I just want to read off the remaining schedule because I think it is so important. We did go over this back, last week or the week before, when you look at their coming down the stretch, but after San Fran, Dallas, they went through Dallas, the Chiefs, Bills, all wins. They got blown out by the 49ers, and then they get beat pretty bad by Dallas. They finish, and this is why they're still favored, Seattle, Giants, Arizona, Giants. That is a cupcake schedule the rest of the way. Yes, there's 2 division games. Yes, you never know. Do you think they're trending backwards, or do you just think, man, they went through a run of, Dallas, Chiefs, Bills, Niners, Dallas? You're bound, more than likely you were getting 2, like I counted 2 losses in their regard, I think, before the season. I think I definitely had them having 2 or 3 losses in that stretch.
Okay.
Do you think it's more the way they lost, or do you think people just want to nag them because it's 2 losses and they were 10-1?
I think, well, here's the other thing. The Eagles have, I just had their schedule in front of me. Here we go. They have, let's see, 1 double digit, 2. They have 2 double digit wins. They win a lot of their close games.
That's not a lot of double digit wins.
No, we have, I think, 7 or 8 of our wins are double digit wins. We're dominating teams. We have, I think we're like at 188 point differential in our wins. San Francisco's at like 175, and the Eagles are at 24. So I've been saying week after week, oh my gosh, these guys are keep getting lucky. They go to overtime, should have lost to the Bills, got challenged twice by the Commanders. And, I just didn't really see a quality team out there. And now you have 2 blowout wins against contenders in the NFC. And let me tell you, Seattle is trying to avoid a 4-game losing streak at home with Pete Carroll. And the Eagles just generally don't do well whenever they travel to Seattle for whatever reason. Maybe it's another bird's nest and they just get a little bit uneased. But whatever the case may be, I think that's going to be a real tough game for them. And, their locker room to me, it seems to be unraveling. I think, yes, I think they could bounce back. But I think they're going to have trouble against the Seahawks because, Pete Carroll, high quality coach. You see what the Cowboys defense did. You see what the Niners defense did. They have a physical front on the front four. They gave our O-line some work. They still have Bobby Wagner, who's playing at a high level. So I think don't be surprised if Eagles, come back with their 3rd loss. And I do expect the Giants, one of those 2 games, to give them a run for their money. Because, at this point, when you play a top team that only has a couple losses, it's like your team's Super Bowl, right? And then you have the coaches, the former coach matchup with the Cardinals, and anything can happen there. They have a mobile quarterback, and they can put up points too. They just beat the Steelers not too long ago. And this is when you're supposed to be playing your best ball, and they just are struggling in December, and that's not what you want.
That's where I'll agree. I think when I look at a lot of those earlier games, I get the point that they're winning close games. And a team like the Eagles you feel like they should be blowing teams out. But you're still winning. To me, you're winning the games you're supposed to win. So when you look at their 3 losses, they have the difference is they lost to the Jets. We lost to Arizona. That's what's going to hurt. Trending backwards, I'd have to say yes. You can't lose 42-19, 42-19 the 49ers and lose 33-13 to Dallas and not be trending in the wrong direction. The thing when I look at them, like you said, the body language, the last 2 games looked bad. They had a little bit of fight in them against, San Fran, where there was a lot of the talking and chirping. but the body language just they seem, especially when I looked at Jalen Hurts, he looked like a dude that was defeated. At the end of that game, Devonta Smith looked like a dude that was defeated. So that's the only thing they should win the next 4 and keep and at least hope San Fran loses to Baltimore. I don't think Dallas has a shot to get the number 1 seed. I really don't think they have a shot to win the division, honestly. And it's more the schedule because I think they get a loss, and I don't think Eagles do, but they are. And I think, like you said, Seattle's a tough team. They can put up points. They can score. You hope, is DK going to be suspended? Probably not, but there's something to talk about. I don't know if he's going to, but it could be. I think if they look bad this week, then if you're the Eagles, you really have some concerns. And if you're Dallas and San Fran, you're like, one of us are making it. So I do think, just based off the last 2 games, they have to, but I don't think I think they turn it around. They're too well coached of a team. There's just too much talent on that team. And it may not, I don't think it's the coaching. I just think they have so much talent all over the place to not be able to turn it around. And this is the kind of where you want to, you get Seattle and New York. Those are games you're like, okay, we should go feast. So I think this week will tell a lot if they really are trending backwards, if it was just an end of a rough schedule for them.
I think with the Niners, I think with both the Niners and the Eagles, I think both of them will lose one more game. The Niners have to play Baltimore, and then they finish with the Rams. And I think Sean McVay, the Rams, their offense with Nakua and Kupp, and they still got Donald on defense. They're going to be motivated. They think they're going to be motivated to be to wreck their schedule for the playoffs.
So when you look at both sides, Seattle or San Fran can do it or the Rams can do it to them. Giants are going to be one because both of those are playing. So you get to knock either one. I think, I do think you're going to get at this point when especially have your division opponents, you're going to be getting some other teams' best shots right now to ruin your season.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, and it's hard to, keep it up week by week, and it's all about matchups. So still a lot to figure out there. It's going to be fun. I mean, I don't know how much more, if we could have scripted it any more interesting than the way it's playing. It's playing out.
The only way you could have scripted it better was if either us or the Eagles beat San Fran. And then there's a 3-way tie, but you're still all 10-3. That's the only way it could have been better. Because right now, San Fran's just laughing at both of us. Like, you guys could say what you want. We destroyed both of you. You got to come out to Levi now. And we beat you both in your hometown. And with Dallas, they've already beaten Dallas in the playoffs. What was it, last year or 2 years ago? It was
2 years, yeah.
But when we're looking just at this game, we'll wrap it up. When you're watching this game on Sunday last night, who was your MVP? Who was your guy that you looked at and said, "Yo, he's the reason he got us this win"?
To me, I have to give it up to Gilly because the way he just dominated, AJ Brown and forced a fumble. I mean, and he had a pretty crucial tackle on the 4th down. And catching up to Devonta Smith on the cross route when we did an all-out blitz.
That was I was really shocked they didn't try to, I'm watching that and Gilly broke so hard on that. If Smith was running an outbreak, if he did a quick out, wide open. But good for Gilly. Gilly played it perfect. He I don't know if he knew it, but he cheated so hard on that play. I was shocked.
Now, Hurts, if he throws that ball better, because it's kind of in his back hip and he has to reach back if he throws it better, he might have a chance. But it was his to me breakout game of the year. Just shows that any given game we can ask him to shut someone down, and really the same for Bland. I still have all the confidence in the world in him. Even after what transpired with Metcalf, just a couple things that took place. You can't really knock him for that. Everyone has an off day. So for me, it's Gilly. Who do you got for MVP?
It's been a toss up. to me, when you're watching that game, and I looked at the set, yes, they all did their thing, but Gilly just, I felt like he was impressive. And he gave up, but and it felt like the big moments of the game when they would go at Gil, that's where he's shutting them down, and he's talking and he's chirping, and he was feeling it. I have to go. It's either between him or Dak. So I don't think you can go wrong with either one of them. Dak played a beautiful game. He was making some very good passes. Another game, no interception. So that thing, and where he was worried last year, where my thing was, it's a low amount of interceptions, even if you lead the league. But I feel like Gilly had it just because he came up big. He just felt like every big play Dallas needed on third down, when they went at him, he was shutting down. I don't know how. Yeah, it's nice to see now. You knew what Gilly was, and I think a lot of people if you pay attention to football, you know how Gilmore is. But I think a lot of people, now that he's on Dallas, a little bit older, people aren't sure, and he showed up yesterday, and really, on one of the more physical wide receivers in the game, he did not get bullied or bodied. So that was I don't know how else you. I don't know who. To me, nobody else deserves it more than him. I felt like he was a big reason, because that offense. You saw they have 10 targets, I think, for AJ Brown, and he had 13 targets, and Devon Smith has 10. So they're forcing those guys the ball.
Yeah.
And yes, he caught most of them, but nothing significant. There was never a play where you're like, Eagles are getting momentum here. Gilmore shut it down, and I felt like a lot of it really was. It just a lot of the big plays Gilmore's involved, and he shut them down and stopped it. It was beautiful. It was so good to watch this defense just come up and play. Can't remember the last time we had a defense this good. It's been early 2000s, I think, last time I remember one.
And I forgot to say, as Lane Johnson is amazing right tackle, but Parsons came as close as you can to manhandling that guy.
On that sack, he 100%, man. He threw him. It's going to happen. That's that Marshawn Lynch. You're going to get got. But I'm going to get more, and Lane Johnson gets more than he gets got. But that's just the guy that Mike. And the other thing, yes, it was beautiful to see Micah get the sack on him. What impresses me, and I think the knock that we've been hearing so much on CeeDee Lamb, to me, I don't know how you can't view it as a positive at this point. Like, the dude just kills it all over the field. I don't care if he's playing. I don't care. He's a slot receiver. I don't care. The dude's you still can't stop him. When he's on the outside, you can't stop him. When he's on the inside, you can't stop him. When he's in the backfield, guess what? You still can't stop him. You know what I'm saying? You just can't. He's so good.
His double moves are lethal. After the 10 yards down the field, I mean, he's hitting on all cylinders, and he reminds me a lot of Devontae Adams. So, and I hope he comes to fit in and fill those types of shoes that Devontae has come to be in the NFL.
I think, and I really believe, though, I think those first 2 years with Amari, when you look at him and how good Amari Cooper, he's known for his hands and his route running. And I remember his rookie year, you sitting there watching them work together, just on footwork drills. I think he learned so much from just a guy in Cooper who's just a straight professional. I felt like he had 1,000 yards. He's like that Brandon Cooks. He hasn't been on every team. He just gets it done. So I think him learning from a guy like that coming into the league, leaps and bounds, I think, where he could have been. And he's amazing to watch. He's going to hit 100 catches this year. He's already got 1,200 yards. This team is built. They're built for a run. And I think we're down the last 4 weeks. So this is something, do we control our own destiny? No. Am I worried about it? No. I didn't think, even before this game, I didn't think it was winning the division. But you want to be playing your best ball now. And you can go, and I think we're a better team than Detroit. So I think the next 2 weeks are where I really want to see. If we can go 1-1 against Miami and Buffalo, I'm sad. Going to the playoffs, I'm happy.
That's fair.
To me, I think they do that, and then I think they take the last 2 games of the season. You go these next 3 games. You go 2-1. I'm ready to go into the playoffs for this team. and I'm trusting and believing in Dak. That's where I'm at right now with Dak and this team. I truly believe, as bad as it was against San Fran, I truly believe we could still beat them with the way Dak's playing right now.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and I'm excited to get into the Bills pregame on Thursday. A lot to look forward to, a lot to get into. I just finished with this comment. Coming into this season, we were saying Micah, Defensive Player of the Year. Like that. He has the capability to come out and do it and just destroy, disrupt other offenses. But now we're coming. You see what Bland's doing, and you see what just Gilmore just did. I'm starting to think it's now almost just as I would say a little bit more. I think I would prefer your Defensive Player of the Year to be a cornerback over a defensive end, because when you can lock down, you're the other team's best wide receiver, you're almost shutting down like half of the field, and you're forcing another team to use their other players, because the way teams have been able to, whether it be chip Micah or run at him, I feel like other teams have been more successful at doing that than anything else. But we could debate it more next.
I think we're definitely going to debate there. But I think Micah causes more of those interceptions than people think. I think it's a combination. So to me, I'd much rather have, because I think Micah gets there more. He's just a bigger impact. But yeah, we definitely got to go into that. Well, that'll definitely be a great offseason topic if we're seeing, these guys keep it up, especially if Bland wins. That's a great topic to discuss. But I'm so ready. I'm ready. These last 4 weeks, I can't remember the last time you're going down the stretch this excited. Because you agree we have a team that we think can win it all.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember the last time I really, honestly believed when I looked at it that we could win it all. This is a team I think 100% we can win it all. So we really want to appreciate all of you listeners, everybody, for checking in today. And if you listen to us on Spotify, or if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, really appreciate it. Thank you all again. Just continue. We'll keep pushing the socials, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Cowboys Takeover Podcast. Same on YouTube as well, where you can catch these live streams. We really appreciate you each and every week checking in pregame and postgame. I know Aaron and myself I've been so jazzed and so jacked this season. Starting this back in I think it was March, just pushing forward, waiting for this. And now we're down to the final 4 weeks of the 2023 NFL season. Does Dallas control their own destiny? Like I said earlier, no, but we're excited. They're playing hot ball. They're playing great ball. So keep watching us each week, each pregame, postgame. We'll have our pregame up Thursday like usual. Looks like Dallas back to a normal schedule. So our pregame back up Thursday night. We'll be live to discuss that Buffalo Bill games. But we really want to appreciate you for listening this last week and each and every week. And go give us again. Like, follow, tweet, comment on all of them. Leave us comment during the show, interact some. We really appreciate that. All the comments we get. We really appreciate you all. We really thank you from the bottom of our heart. We love each and every one of you. Really thank you. God bless. We're back on Thursday. Enjoy.